Welcome to the Lose Weight, Live Life podcast. If you're a female professional or entrepreneur who would do anything to lose weight, yet finds it impossible to stick to a diet, to eat less, or just what you think you should, this podcast is for you. I am your host, certified life and weight coach, Clair MACKENZIE. Listen in to learn how to stop overeating, lose weight for the last time, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, all without diet deprivation and self-sabotage. Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to episode number 51. Today I am really excited to bring to you what is my favourite ever podcast episode. Today I'm talking to three ladies from the January 2021 6-month Lose Weight, Live Life Mastermind program that just ended a couple of weeks ago. And I've invited these ladies on the show to talk to you about the work they have done, the amazing work they have done to change their relationship with food, to help them lose their weight for the last time. So for those of you who don't know, the way in which the Lose Weight, Live Life Mastermind program works is that I get together and coach a small group of ladies. It was 6 in this case, and we meet for an hour at the same time every week for 6 months. And these ladies get coaching help and support every single week. And in addition to that, they also have weekly trainings, which are video presentations and worksheets to help them apply everything that they learn to their life. Now, I love working in women in this way. I love seeing the progress that they make. And even though sometimes they think they're not making progress, they always are. And I also love how these small groups really work together to care and support one another on their individual weight loss journeys. And whilst this podcast episode is called Weight Loss Stories, you'll hear from listening to these ladies that the mastermind experience is about so much more than just the weight loss. Okay, brilliant. So I would like to introduce you to Angie, Sue and Jude, and I would like to ask you in turn to tell us a little bit about yourself and a bit about your relationship with food prior to joining the Lose Weight, Live Life program. So Angie, let's start with you.
Hi, I'm a mum and nanny to a very active bunch of grown-up kids and now grandchildren. And in my working life, I'm the operations manager of a national charity. My relationship with food has always been pretty rubbish. When I was 8 years old, I was taken to the dietitian and put on a diet. And I can still remember that horrible piece of typed paper and the fact that one of the keys on the typewriter didn't type properly, and the instructions to my mother about what I could and could not eat.
Yeah.
My weight was not too bad in my early 20s. I had a very active job. I was on my feet all day, and then I had a very active bunch of young children. But over the years, my eating got worse and worse, really, particularly in response to kind of traumatic life events. And I was faced up really with the fact that I had to do something when my brother, who was younger than me, died of the complications of diabetes. And I thought, I don't want this to happen to me. I must do something. So having done every diet known to man for about a fortnight and then got bored of it and not really lost as much weight as everybody else, and sat through those dreadful slimming classes full of women who sit talking about the lady 2 rows in front and doesn't she look awful and all that sort of rubbish, and how you can make a delicious cheesecake out of Muller Light yogurts. And I'm sorry, that stuff just was not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I found a way of eating that really suited me, and I lost a lot of weight. Hooray for me. I lost 4 stone and I just felt invincible. And then my dear mum-in-law died and life just fell apart, and we drove very late at night home from the hospital, having said our goodbyes. And the only place where we could get any food was a chip shop.
Yeah.
And I stopped eating healthily and I just ate whatever I wanted, because what was the point?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't really make any difference whether I ate healthily or I didn't eat healthily, because she was gone and I had loved her very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was the start of pretty much putting most of the 4 stone that I lost back on.
Mm-hmm. And how long before you started working with the program was that?
3 years.
3 years.
So yeah, so by the time it was, I'd kind of lurked and listened to your podcasts And what you were saying made so much sense, because I knew that the answer for me was not to diet. It was to sort out my relationship with food, because it was really, really dreadful. And I didn't like myself. I didn't like my relationship with food. I relied on it to numb out all my emotions. I had some really weird thoughts. Food didn't judge me. Food was my friend. And I had some really, really bad behaviours around food. So it's no wonder that I gained so much weight.
So you came into the programme with all of that. Okay, let me move on and ask Sue. You want to tell me a little bit, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit how you came to be here with the programme.
My name's Sue. I live in Leicestershire with my husband, and I have 2 grown-up children, and I'm a school business manager in a large primary school in the inner city. I think that the first time I went to a Weight Watchers class was when I was 12 or 13, and my mum bought me a subscription to Weight Watchers for my birthday. And that was the beginning of a lifelong trip round every weight loss program you can possibly think of. I've done them all. I've done the milkshakes, and I've done the bars, and I've done the going to the lessons and listening to the stories of women with whom I had nothing in common and couldn't bear it, and just didn't speak to me, really.
Yeah.
So when I was approaching my 40th birthday, I decided I had to do something to get rid of these stones of weight, because it had always been a cycle. Lose a few stone, put a few stone on, put a few more stone on. And it's no coincidence that my relationship with my mental health and my depression also went in cycles over the years. As I was approaching 40, I thought, right, I have to lose this weight once and for all. So I went to see a psychodynamic therapist at great expense, whom I saw for several years and never addressed my relationship with food issues. Mm-hmm. I saw a nutritional dietitian who tried to make me take every supplement you could think of and every weird diet going, and did nothing at all to resolve my relationship with food. I tried my GP, who sent me on a 10-week course for people with obsessive compulsive eating disorder, I think they called it, and that did absolutely nothing for me. And I continued in the cycle of losing weight and gaining even more weight. And I had just about given up, really. I'd decided, actually, I'm just going to be big my whole life. I'm not going to be interested in what anybody else says to me. I'm going to eat what I want. I'm going to stuff my face as much as I want to. Sod everybody else. I'm not going to go along with this image of how women should be, blah, 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 blah. Deep down, I was incredibly unhappy. And it was autumn 2020 when I stumbled across the Academy on Facebook. It was one of those things that popped up to me. I don't know how or why, but I looked at it and I thought, nah, it's just another one of those things. It's another one of those gimmicks. It's never going to work for me. All these women who say it's brilliant, that's fine for them because they're brilliant and I'm just useless, and skipped over it. And it kept popping back. I kept trying to get rid of it and it kept popping back. And I looked you up, Claire, on the old Google, and I thought, oh, she's a bloody marketing woman. Of course she's good at this stuff. That's her background. No, complete rubbish. And then I sent off for, you could download your 10 ways to change your mindset about
overcoming overeating or something. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. So I downloaded that and I sat and read it, chucked it on the pile, went back to it, read it again, chucked it on the pile, read it again, showed it to my other half and said, what do you think of this? And he said, well, you've done everything else. The money that you've spent over the years, he said, join the Academy thing and see how you get on. So I joined the Academy. I became addicted to the podcasts really quickly. I listened to all of them in the space of about a week. Found there was actually somebody who was using the same language as I did about food and about control and about me as a woman having responsibility for my feelings and my behaviour, and knowing it all in my head, but not being able to put it into practice and apply that to my relationship with food. And in every other aspect of my life, I'm quite a bright girl, really, but I couldn't do it for myself. I couldn't be nice to myself. I couldn't support myself. I couldn't figure out the answers for myself. So I started the Academy in November at 16 stone 11. And by Christmas, I had lost 1.5 stone. And my relationship with food had changed completely. And I know know that sounds corny because that's what it says on all the blurb, but actually it really had. And I approached Christmas with trepidation because I thought, that's it. And obviously working in a primary school, your life is defined by term time and school holidays. It's going to be the school holidays. I'm going to have 2 weeks off over Christmas. I'm going to put it all back on. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And then Claire did a session on how to plan for Christmas and how to not put it back on all over the Christmas holiday, basically. And so I set to and got on with that. And I gave myself a 2-week window, which was the 2 weeks of the school holidays. And I said, that's my Christmas period. I planned every day what I was going to do. I didn't deprive myself. I allowed myself to have treats. I think there were 2 chocolates out of the chocolate bowl every day that I was allowed to have. And I planned it meticulously. And by the time I went back to school 2 weeks later, I was shocked to find that I'd actually lost half a pound. I had aimed to maintain and I'd lost half a pound. But even more important was I was in control for the whole of that 2-week Christmas holiday. And that just made me feel amazing.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you. And then it was at that point that we started working together in the Mastermind. So I'll come back and talk more about that. What I'm really loving hearing you tell these stories now, and what I'm noticing is that, of course, 6 months ago, we all got together and we all introduced ourselves. And you are so much more confident sharing your stories now than you were when you first met. And of course, part of that is naturally because we didn't know each other then. But just hearing you share your stories now, it's just
all sorts of things are coming out of the woodwork, aren't they?
Such a difference than right at the beginning of the programme. So thank you. It's lovely to hear. Jude, what about you? Tell us a bit about yourself.
I'm Jude. I'm 55 and mother of 2 boys and married with 2 stepchildren as well. Work full time, have always worked full time, so have a pretty full on life, I would say. Not much time for me. And my relationship with being overweight goes back to, I think I was first overweight from about the age of 7 or 8 and becoming first conscious of doing something. I remember being unhappy at that age, but also my first experience of doing something about it was sharing my mum's slimming pills in the lead up to a cousin's wedding. And I did feel pretty cool, but clearly I was wired and, wasn't sleeping brilliantly, but I had lots of energy. And I would say from the age of 15 through to now, I have battled with my relationship with food. So it's come off, it's come on. I've stuck my fingers down my throat. I've tried every diet going. And I landed on the shakes and bars in 2009, lost 5 stone, thought I was invincible, thought I got it cracked, thought I was gorgeous. But I was unable to cope in the world of food. And it's only now with hindsight, and I think through this programme, that I can recognise that I then was fearful of food. I was fearful of living in the world of real food. And so a bit like Sue, I can't be sure how I came across Claire in the academy. I think it was through Facebook, and I started looking into that, and it just talked to me in a way that I thought that this might actually work, because I've got to address some ways of thinking and behaving that I've held dear for over 40 years now. And I'm scared. I'm not sure I can do it. I'm desperate to do it. I want to, I'm looking ahead now to retirement, and I want to have an active retirement, and I want to be able to travel the world and do things, and carrying around the excess baggage that I've got is going to get in the way, and I don't want that for me or for my family. So coming across the academy, I started to use it through the Facebook group and the podcast, but I struggled with the lack of my own discipline around it. So time for me is pretty poor, and so having the discipline to access the materials and the practice that I need to think differently and to observe what's going on for me, I found that the academy in itself, I needed more around it. I definitely didn't want one of those classes where you go and kind of are humiliated about what you have or haven't done the previous week. But I did want the support of a network of people who would speak my language, and you can't kid a kidder. You can't, if you've been through what we've been through, you kind of just know. So initially, I did want to join. I think you had an academy running earlier, but it wasn't on a day of the week that I could do. So when you then went back out and said that there was going to be a class on a Wednesday, it was like, yes, I can give it a go. So my husband is completely supportive of anything I've tried. And again, I have spent a fortune on different things. And with this program, what he notices is that I'm not looking for a quick fix. I'm not looking for a magic bullet, but I am making choices for me. And what I've done over the last 6 months is I have been photographing a lot of what I've been eating, and I'm very proud. When I look at what I've been eating, it's really good stuff, and it's stuff I've chosen to eat. And I haven't been confined by a regime that says this is good and that is bad.
Yeah.
I have adopted a regime that fits in with my lifestyle and is, I eat things that I really enjoy, and they are of themselves good for me. The other thing I would say is that I think when I first joined, I was still looking for a quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
I was still desperate for that magic bullet and for that answer. And Claire will say repeatedly, be curious, it's a journey. And you think, I just want the end. I just want the outcome. And I would say to anyone who is thinking about this is enjoy the ride, because you're on like a voyage of discovery about yourself. It's nothing that you don't already know and isn't already inside you. The program allows it to come out at a speed that works for you. And we've all gone at different speeds, and that's okay too. So for me, I feel I'm still on my journey, still on my voyage of discovery. There's still a lot of practice that I need to do, but I feel more equipped with the tools. And some need to be sharpened, but at least I have a range of tools, and I don't beat myself up in a way that I used to.
Yeah.
So for me, there's like learning on so many different levels that's gone on that I couldn't have imagined when I first was really desperate to sign up. But it's been a revelation to me.
Yeah, no, okay, brilliant. Thank you. And it is quite hard to explain to people what it's like doing the program without actually doing it, I think. I'm going to come back to you, Angie. What's been the difference, I guess, for you, some of the differences for you between doing this program and maybe other programs that you've done?
This program addressed the root issue, which was not really food. It was how I felt about food, how I used food, my thoughts about food, using food to numb out negative emotions, thinking that I was not really a very emotional person at all, which was completely not true. And I agree, it's very hard to describe it. In a funny way, it's probably the hardest work I've ever done in my life. And it was hard work. And there were times when I felt I wasn't getting anywhere at all. And I would ask you, but when am I going to lose the weight? And you would go, be curious, it's about the journey. And I would go, because it wasn't what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear, do this and the weight will come off, because other people were losing the weight and I wasn't, which, yes, I am losing the weight and I need to lose the weight, but it's happening because everything else got put into place. And I learned how to manage my emotions. I learned to accept that there will be positive and negative ones all through life. I learned how to sit with discomfort. I learned how to manage cravings for things that I had decided I didn't want to eat anymore. So it's completely different to anything that I've ever done before, because they have always focused on the food, not the behaviors or the thoughts or the emotions around food and the rest of life.
Yeah.
So, and I had no idea when I started how hard it would be, how brilliant it would be, or what my root issues were. And it took a while, and there were a number of them. But I guess if you've been overeating since you were 8 years old, there's going to be a number of them. But I'm in such a good and positive place now where the weight is coming off without it feeling hard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, but it just isn't that hard.
Yeah.
So an example would be today. I've become so much more aware of how I feel and the things that might cause me to think that I need to eat more than I do. So I didn't sleep very well last night. I wasn't at home. I was away from home. So I was very grumpy. And by lunchtime, my emotional brain just wanted me to eat all manner of things that are not on my food plan. And I thought, this is because you're tired. And there are better ways of solving being tired than eating. And I would have had no clue before that it was as simple as that. Just understanding something about my mental state and how my body was feeling. So I didn't eat anything that wasn't on my food plan. I had a lovely healthy salad and a cup of coffee, and it was all fine. Mm-hmm. And that would have never happened before, because it's the program is designed to get to your root issues.
Mm-hmm. What's something that you're most proud of achieving or learning or overcoming?
All of it. Sticking with it, because it was hard. And there were a lot of times when I just wanted to put two fingers up and go away and eat a loaf of bread or 6 donuts or something. But doing the work week after week, rocking up to the class and listening to everybody. And I learned a lot from everyone else as well. And I learned how much I disliked myself for having such a rubbish relationship with food and feeling that it was in control of me and I wasn't in control of it, and how angry I had been at myself for putting the weight back on. It's not easy to face up to those things, or at least I didn't find it was easy to face up to them. Mm-hmm. And to learn that I'm actually quite an emotional person who goes up and down many times in a day, let alone a week sort of thing. Whereas before I thought I was just this quite placid personality who just kind of sailed through life. And the only reason that happened was because I numbed all the negative stuff out with food. Mm-hmm. In fact, I probably numbed some of the positive stuff out with food as well, because as far as I was concerned, the way I used to eat was anything was an excuse to eat. So it's completely different to anything that I've ever done before. I haven't had quite such a repertoire as Sue, but every slimming group and plan and stupid diet I have done with very little effect. Mm-hmm. Except on my purse or bank balance.
Brilliant, thank you. So what about you? What's something that maybe you're most proud of achieving, or what have been the big differences or the key differences for you with the programme?
I think the difference is that this programme gives you the opportunity to learn about yourself and to fix things. And some of them have got nothing to do with eating, that they're things that you've spent your whole life knowing need fixing, but you haven't been sure how to fix it or how it's broken or why it was broken in the first place. And the Mastermind is called Lose Weight, Love Life. And actually it should be learn about yourself, learn how to love life, or something else. The lose weight comes first because that's the thing that as people who have struggled with weight all of our lives pick up on. But this is about so much more than how to lose weight. This is about how to live the life that you want to live. It's about how to be a better person to yourself, a better person to your family. It's about how to use the skills that you've got. You know, what you've achieved with us on the programme isn't to do something that's earth-shatteringly new, but you've presented it to us in ways that we could never have put that together by ourselves. Although we're bright women, we couldn't have figured it out for ourselves. And actually, sometimes, Claire, we needed you to say, come on, have a kick up the backside, get on with it. And we've all needed that at different times, and we've all gone about it. But actually, that's been really important to us, because although mostly you're really softly spoken, supportive, lovely Claire, sometimes we need Claire to be curious, think about it. What do you mean? No, we need that, Claire, too.
Yeah.
And because this is
encouraging you to question yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And because it's been so personal and intimate with a group of 6 of us that have become very close, considering we're 6 women who have never even met each other in real life. Having somebody facilitate that for us and enable that for us has been so, so valuable. And I pay that money 2, 3, 4 times over for what I've got out of it, because the value has just been incredible. So I'm just really grateful that I stumbled across you on that Facebook page.
Brilliant. I'm so proud of all of you for all that you've achieved and the journeys that you've been on and the challenges that you've overcome and what you've learned about yourself and how much kinder you are to yourself as well. Is there anything else that you would like to share as a part of your journey, as a part of the programme? Any messages for anyone considering it? Jude, anything else that you would like to share?
So I've really appreciated the support of the other women, and this may sound not such a nice thing to say, but seeing other people struggle as well, kind of at different points and at different times, was the thing that helped. It wasn't a straight path. There's no neat graph where it all kind of happens in a linear way. It's kind of it's a wobbly process, is maybe the way I would think of it. So I would say that, and I would also say there is something about committing to in honour of yourself and in investing in yourself, to the time to to use the worksheets, to listen to the podcast. And I found the podcasts in particular were a real help. I would listen to those as I jog around the downs, and even the starting music makes me know I'm going. It just really works for me. And so for me, it's kind of the combination of things. And I can see that Claire is coaching us. I can see all her coaching questions, but somehow they really work. And they're not even, they are just typical coaching questions. They're a lot, and reflecting back. And if you are being a bit kind of, I don't really want to do that, and rebellious child, she'll say to you, so, why is it important to you? Or, what do you get? What do you gain? And you think, it takes you to a place where only you have the answer, but the question is phrased in such a way that because you're the only one that has the answer, it is the answer that works for you. It's not prescriptive in that we've all done this in our own way that works for us. So for me, that is again a real benefit. And it sounds like we're being terribly serious, but we've had a ball as well. We've had a laugh and a giggle, and the 6 months fly by, absolutely fly by. I think those are the main things. It's just been I don't want anyone to run away with the idea that it's just this breeze, because it's the opposite of a breeze. But it's not, it doesn't feel like a burden. It just feels like the right thing for me. It just worked for me, and it never felt like a chore or a God, what excuse am I going to make this week? It just felt a very natural process. But at the same time, it took me to places I wasn't expecting to go, but and also at a pace, I would say, that worked for me. So weekly, the resources, the camaraderie, the challenge, but it's a number of different things which coming together really helped.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing that, Jude. I guess any last comments, Angie, any last comments from you? Anything else to add?
This has been probably one of the hardest things I've ever done in life, and also the best. I'm not somebody who easily spends money on myself. So I've had a huge mental tussle to sign up to the Mastermind program, to the point where my husband got absolutely sick of me and said, "Oh, for God's sake, just do it, woman. It's only money." But it has, even my relationship, I would say, with money and spending on myself has changed, which was not at all an outcome that I would have thought would have come from this. And if there are women who are listening to this and thinking, is it right for me? I would say, do whatever you've got to do. I'd sell something, sell your husband, whatever you need to do, but get on the Mastermind program, because it's life-changing. I just wish I had done it years ago, because my life would have been so different. I can't tell you the difference. My whole family has noticed. I don't go around going, "Oh, I'm on this program," because I've gained and lost weight so many times that people just get a bit sick of it. So I haven't really said anything. The only person who knew that I was doing it was my husband, because he saw the money go out of the bank, and he encouraged me to do it, to be fair. But people are noticing how different I am, in a good way and in a positive way, and not just, "Oh, you've lost a bit of weight," which I kind of don't really need to hear anymore, because I'm doing it for me. I'm not doing it for other people to mention it. That I don't need that validation. I'm doing it for me to be healthy, and that's happening. And it's not hard work. I'm sorry, it just isn't anymore. This is how I want to eat now. So if you're listening, just do it, to coin a phrase.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks, Angie. Any final comments from you, Sue? Anything else?
I started with the Academy in November 2020 at 16 stone, 11 and a half. The Mastermind started at the end of January in 2021, and we just finished it a couple of weeks ago. We're now in August 2021. I've lost nearly 4.5 stone in weight, but somehow even more important than that is that I have this collection of amazing tools for my life that I have learnt to be able to apply in lots of different situations. I use it at work. I use it in my relationship with my husband. I use it in my relationship with my grown-up children. I teach the tools to other people because I think they've made such a difference to me. And I feel almost evangelical about wanting to share those tools with other people because they're so effective. And I would say, if you're wondering whether to sign up to the Mastermind or not, if you're wondering whether you can really afford it or not, I would say say this really will change your life. And as corny as that sounds, actually, I think there are at least 6 women on the course that I did, and 7 if we include you, Claire, who would say this really did change our lives. And I will be forever grateful for that.
Oh, thank you. It's been quite emotional talking through all of this, hasn't it? Thank you all so much for coming on the podcast. It's the first time I've done this, and it's been great. And it's just been fantastic to hear about all of your experiences. Obviously, I didn't know what everybody was going to say. And I just want to really appreciate you for not only doing the work that you've done as part of the program in terms of creating the results that you've created in your life, because you've done all of that work. Like, seriously, you've had to do all that hard work. You've done all of that work, but also the support that you've given for one another as well has been just really lovely and amazing to see. So thank you so much for being here and chatting to me today. And so if you felt inspired by Angie, Sue and Jude, and if you would like to go all in on creating a relationship with food, yourself and your life that you love, so that you too can enjoy an incredible journey of losing weight for the last time, then I would love you to join me on the next Lose Weight, Live Life Mastermind that starts in September. You can find out more at www.thebestyou.coach/mastermind. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and are ready to live a more intentional life, lose weight as a part of that journey, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, then I would be honoured to be your coach. There are 2 ways that you can work with me. You can join my monthly membership program, My One Life Academy, that gives you self-paced learning, supported by twice weekly live calls and a whole lot more. Or you can join the waiting list for my next 6-month Lose Weight, Live Life group coaching mastermind intensive. Go to www.thebestyou.coach/coaching to find out all the details.